scary. Oh, shiver my timbers.
Boo. Well, it's Halloween season, it's spooky month, you know, when all the scary stuff comes out to play, you know, ghosts, goblins, Candace, you know, all the terrifying crap. So I figured, why not talk about something that's equally as terrifying that isn't just my usual appearance? And it got me thinking on internet horror as a whole, you know, the timeline of internet horror. Back in the late 2000s, the big trend was screamer videos, you know, you think you're watching a regular video, and then tragedy strikes. But then there's the 2010s, which I think had the most notable trend in terms of internet horror. Creepypastas. These are basically internet ghost stories, you know, talking about some sort of cryptic monster or lost haunted episode of SpongeBob, you know, all the spooky stuff. These were massive back in the day, but nobody really talks about them anymore. So I figured, why not talk about them right now? Because like I said, it's not like anyone else does. That was a joke. A lot of people talk about creepypastas in terms of nostalgia, but what would you rather have? A 50-minute video essay or a 20-minute yap session? That's what I thought. So join me as we talked about the spooky stuff, the scary stuff, and whatever this is. Are you scared yet? No? Yeah, I don't blame you.
Nice hat. Thanks! I was being sarcastic. Well, I stole your face!
You know, it's funny, despite Slenderman being the face of creepypastas, he wasn't actually created as a creepypasta. He just kind of came into being around the time where they were getting popular. His first appearance was on the Something Awful forums on 4chan during a competition where people were asked to make some sort of creepy image. You know, something paranormal, something spooky, like my appearance in the morning. And so, this image was submitted, and thus, the legend of Slenderman was born. In terrible quality, both images that were submitted looked normal on the surface, but then, you know, you spotted him. That's it, I have no joke. And thus, his popularity just kind of kept going out of control. He got games, an official YouTube horror series, an official movie. He even actually made appearances in TV shows and video games. There's your My Little Pony reference for the video. So you'd think nothing could stop his popularity. If only it was that simple. So, I don't know the full details of this case. I should probably look that up when I'm done recording this. Why didn't I look it up before recording this? That's a good question. So anyway, if I remember correctly, a teenage girl was stabbed over 30 times by her two supposed best friends. Now, you may be asking yourself, why? That's probably all you're asking yourself right now. Not any of these questions, no, just why. And the answer to that is pretty... It's an answer. The actual reason why this happened, and yes, this is the genuine reason why this happened, is because the two best friends believe that Slenderman was real, and that by murdering this girl, they'd become his next proxies. I am not making any of this up. Shockingly, the teenage girl actually survived this encounter, with the other two being sentenced to death. Nah, I'm just kidding, I think they went to prison. So yeah, that pretty much put a giant dent in Slenderman's popularity. He's still fairly popular to this day, but the popularity he gained between 2010 to 2016 will probably never happen again after this case happened, which is kind of depressing, but as you'll soon find out, just about every creepypasta I've mentioned in this video has kind of died out in terms of popularity, save for like 2 of them. So that's really all I have to say about Slenderman. Now, sexual offender, man, I got a lot to say about that guy. Wait, can I even make that joke? Is this even funny? I don't know. What do you think?
Wow, that sure was a neat segment. What do you think of it, famous YouTuber Dan TDM?
This is the bread that you asked me to get, and you can now go make me a sandwich.
I'm going to kill you?
Just like Slenderman, Jeff the Killer is another very iconic and popular creepypasta. With that being said, it's also one of those creepypastas that's not exactly well written. And it's also the first one where I have to describe the story. Yay. The story goes that one night, a random kid we never learn the name of opens his eyes when he's sleeping to see that his window's open. He goes back to sleep thinking that everything is just fine, but then he gets the feeling that somebody's watching him. Why does he get this feeling? I don't know. Maybe because there is someone watching him. When he opens his eyes, he sees this beautiful mug staring right at him. And take a wild guess at what happens next. Like, just take a wild guess. If you thought Jeff was going to kill him, you're wrong, because somehow this child manages to fight off a known serial killer, not just to the point where his dad walks in, but also to a point where the neighbors call the police. What kind of child is this? Screw Robin, this is the sidekick that Batman needs, apparently. But of course, when the cops show up, Jeff the Killer disappears, and he's never seen again. And then the story takes a hard left turn to talk about Jeff's backstory. Him and his parents move into a town, and he's almost immediately ridiculed by bullies, who just kind of beat him up for no real reason. Yeah, that sounds accurate. Eventually his mom gets the idea that, hey, maybe I should get my son to become friends with these people who do nothing but harass and beat him up. Again, take a wild guess at how that goes. So she gets Jeff to go to the birthday party of one of his bullies, and just as you'd expect, things go wrong, because the bullies pour bleach and alcohol on him and light him on fire. And of course, this causes Jeff to go insane and causes him to get his new funny look. Now, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people don't think this story is well written, but I'm actually going to play devil's advocate and say it's just mid. It's not an amazing story, but it's also not as bad as people say it is. Like, I've definitely read worse in my entire lifetime. I still don't forgive you for what you've done. That being said, this isn't a very consistent creepypasta, if it makes sense. Like, there's so many things that I feel like shouldn't happen, but they do. How does this kid manage to fight off a serial killer? How does Jeff survive being literally burnt alive? Why do they call it oven when you oven the cold food of out hot eat the food? It just doesn't make sense, you know what I'm saying? But no one really talks about it because they're more concerned with a PNG. You see this image of Jeff the Killer? Well, there has been a worldwide manhunt on the internet to try and find the original, unedited version of this image. The search is still going on to this day, and I'm not even going to begin talking about it. Just watch this video by Blameitonjorge if you're really interested. I'll link it in the description. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Jeff the Killer. He's kinda mid, but not terrible. But now I kinda feel like I should talk about something else related to Jeff the Killer.
And then kill you again.
No.
Are you the first original Mickey Mouse?
Mouse.avi is, I think, the first lost episode type creepypasta, which is wild considering how many there are. There's also apparently a movie adaptation. Oh, 7.4 stars. I'm gonna have to go see this movie. So what happens in this story? Take a wild guess. This story is about a supposed lost Mickey Mouse cartoon where he just walks down a road for 9 minutes. Now you might think that sounds boring, and you're right, but after the 2-minute mark, that's when stuff starts really going wild, okay? We got like buildings starting to float, the road starts distorting in creepy ways, colors start happening that shouldn't have been possible at the time, all the while Mickey's smirk just grows wider and wider until his eyes fall off the road. The story also states that after an employee at Disney watched the tape, he stumbled out the theater, said something along the lines of real suffering is not known, and then shot himself point blank with one of the guard's pistols. You know what? I take it back. I don't want to watch this movie anymore. So, I actually think this creepypasta is actually pretty decent, to be honest. It's simple, but I think it's very effective at what it does. It really makes you wonder, what's so scary about this little mouse guy? You know, what was he doing that's so scary? Is he pulling a Walter White or something? I honestly thought I'd have more to say about this one, but no, there's not much else to really say. Yeah, just a pretty good creepypasta that I think is kinda underrated. Not much more to say other than the fact that it's pretty funny that Suicide Mouse is kind of unintentionally real because of this one comic where Mickey tries to end his life. I can't think of anything!
You know, one thing I should...
Just like Slenderman, I'm kind of cheating with this next one. Cupcakes isn't really a creepypasta, it's a fanfiction. But it's often linked in with creepypastas, and I am the MLP guy, so I have an obligation to talk about this one. Anyway, the basic plot. Rainbow Dash goes over to Pinkie Pie's house to bake cupcakes. She gives Rainbow Dash a cupcake, and Rainbow immediately passes out. We're off to a great start. She then links up in Pinkie's torture dungeon. Yeah, I remember that part of the show. And it's basically revealed that the secret ingredient to Pinkie's cupcakes are organs. You know, now I'm actually curious, what would that taste like? What follows is basically a very detailed description of Rainbow getting tortured and eventually killed, with Pinkie then using her organs to bake a new batch of cupcakes. So, I had to re-record this section because something came up, but basically, my thoughts on this one are also pretty simple, just like Mouse.avi. I think the first half is actually pretty well written, but once we get to the torture part, that's when it falls off for me. Because here's the thing, seeing it in like a movie or a TV show, and reading about it in like a book, those are two completely different things, and in my personal opinion, I don't think reading about it is personally the best way to go about it. There's also Cupcakes HD, which I don't really have much to say about, other than it's pretty good, and I really like this face, it's pretty funny. Yeah, that's all I have to say, but I found this dog on the street, and I think she wants to say something. You know, this wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like, none of these creepypastas are really that bad in my opinion. Sure, Jeff the Killer is just kind of mid in my opinion, but that's kind of the worst of it. Let's just move on. What's the next creepypasta we have to talk about? Oh god. I also had to re-record this section because the audio was too quiet for the microphone to pick up. Yay. I want to get this video out fast, so I'm going to speedrun through this one, because I do not like talking about Sonic.EXE. Just like Jeff the Killer, this is one of the few creepypastas that maintained relevancy into the 2020s, and not because of the story, but because of fan media that makes the original story better. Because, shockingly, this story is bad. So bad that it got moved over to the Trollpasta Wiki, a Wikipedia meant for creepypastas that are bad on purpose. Yeah, a creepypasta made to be scary was moved to a Wikipedia made for stuff like Happy Appy, Garfield's Terrible Joy, and My Hopes and Dreams. The story is that a guy gets sent a copy of Sonic 1 by his best friend with a letter telling him to destroy the disc. The guy ignores this letter and starts playing the disc, and oh, spooky stuff starts happening. Oh my god, guys, Sonic is evil and he's hurting his friends. Oh no! Okay, ignoring all that. The reason the story is bad is because it's just not well written. There are so many things that you could critique about this story that make it bad. How is this dude able to list every single detail of the title screen despite the fact that it only shows up for like a single frame, which is like 1/100th of a second? Yeah, it's enough time to analyze every single thing about it. Why does this dude keep playing the game after everything happens? You think after all the spooky stuff happens, he'd stop playing the game. He literally has a nightmare halfway through the story and he still decides to finish the game. Like, I know creepypasta antagonists aren't exactly smart, but surely this guy's on another level, you know what I mean? And to top it all off, there's just a lot of spelling mistakes, and for something meant to be professional, yeah, it's not professional. Once again, the reason this story is still relevant is because people are making fan content that are better than the actual story, kind of like twisting it in their own ways to make it better. You know, you have stuff like Outcome Memories, The Disaster, Needle Mouse, this thing. Actually, no, that's not better, it's worse. You get my point. Whatever I have to say about the story has been said by hundreds already. The story sucks, the fan media is better, this mod is overbloated. Kind of a bad way to end off this video, but you know what? I don't really care, because I've been working on this video since October, and I need a break, because constantly having to rewrite sections of the script, and constantly having to re-record stuff is tiring. Especially since I missed the deadline, and this video is now coming out in November. Yeah, the Halloween special in November. That's like celebrating Christmas in September. Maybe next Halloween we can talk about ARGs or something, but for all I'm concerned, we're done here. So anyways, what if we... Oh, what the hell? You guys heard that too, right? Like, I wasn't imagining things. Like, you heard my door knocking, but like, it's 12 in the morning. Nobody's awake. What's going on? Is Casper haunting me or something? I don't know. What the? Was that funny? No, I don't really care. I need a break. You're still watching this? The video's over. Go watch like Linus Tech Tips or something. I don't know.